Hello viewers, this is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary series, and it looks like we've got Red Deck Wins versus Bant Aggro. Now, Red Deck Wins is sitting at about 2% of the field in popularity right now, which, is not really that great, but it always has potential. It's kind of that walking that razor's edge of aggression and, well, running out of gas. Ooh, Sin Prodder finds Sin Prodder. Now, Sin Prodder, I've talked about this card far, far too much, but Sin Prodder is such a good card. Such a good card. It's just so hard to keep alive that most of the time it just isn't worth playing. Ooh, Draconic Roar on a Tireless Tracker. And Red Deck is looking pretty damn good here. He's got a Moonrise Intruder, so the transformed Village Messenger. He's got his Sin Prodder. And Bant is already down to 8. And we know that Red Deck has another Sin Prodder in his hand. So Bant really needs to start throwing down some muscle here. Maybe Reflector Mage, Gideon, Mix the Knight token. That really isn't going to help you against a 3-2 Menace and a 2-2 Menace. Finds Fiery Temper with Sin Prodder. And I have to say, this is quite the beatdown from Red Deck. We haven't seen Red Deck really have much of a presence for, what, 3 sets, 4 sets? Mainly because, first it was Abzan mid-range, and then it became Bant Control, and now it's still Bant Control. But, like I said, it's that razor's edge for Red Deck. It's, that pure aggression that is very hard to deal with versus the, falling off of that razor's edge and losing all your momentum and your opponent taking over the game. I am very surprised, though, that Bant was so easily overwhelmed here. 5 cards in hand. His best play against that board was a Gideon ally of Zendikar. Now, I'm thinking that he didn't really pay attention to what these creatures did because he did try and block them with one creature. Either that or he was just desperate and hoping that Menace was bugged. But that's the thing. In most circumstances, a game like that for Red Deck would be a fluke. It would be pure luck. And then Game 2, Bant would reassert itself. So let's see what happens in Game 2. Okay, first turn, dashing a Lightning Berserker. Wow. That is not really the way you want to start a game against Red Deck, double Evolving Wilds, because it effectively puts you a turn behind. Okay, dashing the Berserker again, buffing it up, so that's another 2 damage. He's dealing damage, it's just not a whole lot of damage right now, which is good news for Bant. It will let him have a little bit of time to recuperate. And no plays on turn 3. Hanwer Battlements. And Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh. And maybe it's just me and the fact that I'm just completely immersed in Standard almost all the time, but I'm having a real problem drumming up the uh, excitement for the new set Kaladesh. So far, I'm not really impressed with any of the spoilers that I've seen, and I'm just having a real hard time finding any amount of excitement in this new set. Hopefully, as time goes on and we see some more cards, there might be more cards, that might actually pique my interest. But at the moment, not really feeling Kaladesh. But Bant is making a comeback here. A Void Shatter followed up by a horribly awry slows down red deck pretty damn well. Got rid of Chandra before she even hit the board, got rid of a Thunderbreak Regent before it hit the board, which is always the best way to deal with Thunderbreak Regent. Lambholt Pacifist. Incendiary Flow to kill off the Pacifist. So, honestly, with the counter spells, Bant has basically turned red deck from aggression to defense. Well, he still can dash the Lightning Berserker, but again, it's still not a whole lot of damage. And at this point, 1 or 2 points of damage really aren't all that much. It doesn't really matter that much. I mean, you saw what he did in the last game. In this game, it's turn 5, and all Red Deck has managed to do is 5 damage. That's the equivalent of 1 damage a turn. Bant can very easily handle, that amount of aggression, even on a bad day. Anticipate at the end of turn. This is looking a lot more like a, not so much a Bant aggro as more of a Bant control. Because I would have expected to see a lot more cards by now. Sylvan Advocate, Tireless Tracker, Reflector Mage, Spell Queller, Selfless. What is it? Selfless Spirit? A lot more creatures than this. Ooh, Thunderbreak Regent and using the battlements to give it haste. So 4/4 flying haste, and that will kill off Gideon. So far, Gideon hasn't been much of a factor in this whole match. Alright, Stasis Snare on the Thunderbreak Regent. He did have to take 3 damage, which takes him down to 12, which is actually pretty dangerous against Red Deck because they are fully capable of doing a lot of damage in 1 or 2 turns. Okay, there's Sin Prodder. And giving it haste with the battlements. So that's a 3/2 haste with Menace. So that'll knock him down to 9, which is even more dangerous than 12. Theoretically, with 3 cards in hand, he could very well have lethal in his hand right now. So Bant really needs to be able to get rid of that Sin Prodder here. Jace, Unraveler of Secrets. Well, -2 will get rid of the Sin Prodder. So that'll save him from taking damage or letting his opponent get a free card. Galvanic Bombardment to kill off the Knight token. So the board is now clear. So anything that Red Deck can play here. Okay, Sin Prodder. And he can give it haste so he can attack in and kill off Jace. And dashing Lightning Berserker while he's at it. No reason not to. Sin Prodder can finish off Jace, and then you get 1 extra damage to the face. Or he goes straight to the face with all of it. That's 4 damage, so Bant is down to 5. And like I said, at 9, 3 cards in hand, that could very well have 5 damage to the face in it. So Bant really needs to get rid of that Sin Prodder again. The only problem is that so far all we've seen is one Stasis Snare and then Jace bounced him once. He needs something more permanent. Declaration in Stone. I was asking for permanence, and there we go. So goodbye, Sin Prodder. Now, he does have, let's see, dash the Lightning Berserker, +3/+0, that'd be 4 damage total. Hanweir Garrison. Hasting that up, that would be 4 damage. And he could dash the Lightning Berserker on top of that, so thanks to the horribly awry, he avoided lethal this turn. Still follows up with the Lightning Berserker. Does not fire breathe him, though. Well, Bant is at 4. Another +1 on Jace, scry 1, draw a card. He really needs a good one here. Because since this is red deck, we know that he's running Exquisite Firecraft, and all he has to do is pull Exquisite Firecraft and he wins. Because he has Spell Mastery, he has an instant and a sorcery in his graveyard, so that's 2. And when Incendiary Firecraft, or when Exquisite Firecraft has Spell Mastery, it's you can't counter it. Alright, there's Hanweir Garrison again. And this is lethal if he does not stop it. Ojutai's command. Counter target creature spell and gain 4 life. 4 life is a very good cushion here. Lightning Berserker. Well, if he fire breathes it twice, that's 3 damage and it'll knock him down to 5 again. Only fire breathes him once. He's got something in his hand for 2 mana. Thermo Alchemist. Well, Alchemist is potentially what he needs to win this game. We know that Lightning Berserker is one of the cards in his hand. If the other card in his hand... Oh, bouncing the Thermal Alchemist with Jace. I was going to say, if the other card in his hand is something like an Incendiary Flow, he could tap to ping for 1, Incendiary Flow to the face, untap, ping again, and that would be 5 damage. So, having to play the Thermal Alchemist again, after playing a mountain, really does not need any more land at this point. Bant is responding with Scatter to the Winds with Awaken, playing it on the Lumbering Falls. That way it's a 3/3, and then if he mans it up, it becomes a 6/6, I think? Haste, yeah. Okay, Dashing Lightning Berserker. Pumping all of his mana in. Oh, he did have Exquisite Firecraft in his hand. That's unfortunate that he had to use that on the Lumbering Falls. And he went Lightning Berserker to the face. And I have to say, Jace has been very helpful to Bant here. If he had attacked Jace with that Sin Prodder, he might have won by now. Okay, 2 cards in hand. One of them is a Lightning Berserker. Bant has, what, 6 mana open? Alright, Fiery Temper to the face. If he doesn't have a counter, he's dead. And even if he does have a counter spell, he has Lightning Berserker in his hand and he can Fire Breathe up to 3 power. So he has to have 2 answers. And he doesn't. Man, that was one hell of a long fight to take that game and match. Red deck did manage to take this match, though. This isn't actually Bant aggro, so it's not exactly a fair comparison. This is much more of a control deck than an aggro deck. So, Bant control really isn't as good as Bant aggro, so great showing from Red Deck. That was a well-fought match, and that was a well-deserved, that second game. That was a long fight to get that done. Honestly, if I wanted to play in Standard and I was playing Bant colors, I would not mess with this counter control business. I would just go with the established aggro deck, because why wouldn't you? But this game went on for a long time. I've talked for far too long, so this is going to be the end of the video. That was Red Deck wins versus Bant Control. And if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I will see you in the next video.